Hi guys, this is Austin with the recap, and in today's video I'm talking about the upcoming Washington Huskies football season, and after a long departure, I am bringing back the Gold Star and Dunce Award! Woo! Alright, let's get right into the Husky football season. So, as you may or may not know, the University of Washington has recently updated their new football stadium. Last year they played in CenturyLink Field where the Seahawks played, and this year they will be back at Husky Stadium. And let me tell you, from the outside, the stadium looks beautiful. It looks gorgeous, and I can't wait to finally get inside it and get a look around it. I'm hoping I can go to the August 31st game against Boise State, the opening game, but I'm not quite sure. However, with all that being said, will they have a fancy new facility? I don't know how the team is going to perform this year. Best case scenario, I think the team could go 10-2 if they get all their stuff together and they're out there winning, they're out there doing great. They could go 10-2. They also have the potential in their season to go 5-7 and miss a bowl game. And there's so much margin in the ability for the Huskies to win that it's hard to judge where their season is going to go. Because on paper, if you look at their team, like, man, this team, they got a pretty solid team. They have Keith Price at quarterback, although he had a rough year last year. He's a solid quarterback. I would love to have Keith Price on my team. I personally think Keith Price is a better quarterback than Jake Locker was. I think Jake Locker may have a higher ceiling, but Keith Price is the better quarterback because of his accuracy and his ability to throw the ball. And a lot of the issues he ran into last year was because his O-line could not protect him to save their lives. Against the Washington State Cougars, in that game, Keith Price basically had 2 steps. He couldn't even get a 3-step drop back because his O-line was so bad that after 2 steps, the defensive tackles and defensive ends are in the backfield. It was to the point where I was watching the game like, man, he took a 3-step drop back at the sack. And the only time they could move the ball was when they're handing it off. So if their offensive line is healthy and if their offensive line has grown up this year, we could see some massive improvement. However, if we see Washington State defensive line this year, offensive line this year, we're going to be in for a long season. And also on the offensive end of the ball, the Huskies have a lot of weapons. They have upcoming sophomore Jaden Mickens, who he had a solid freshman year. Look for him to make a lot of strides this year in his sophomore season. They also have solid receiver Kason Williams. He actually went to Skyline High School in Sammamish here in Washington. And he's a great talent. And I think he's going to show up this year and be one of the top receivers in the Pac-12 and possibly the country. He has that much talent, he has that much raw ability, and I think this is the year he has to step up and finally show his true talent. They have a solid running back in Bishop Sankey. He ran for over 1,000 yards last year. He's a solid back. He can run the ball. He can run the ball with efficiency. I really like his game. But the big elephant in the room is obviously Austin Sefarian-Jenkins. Now, if you don't know, Austin Sefarian-Jenkins was arrested for DUI back in March, I believe, and he actually just served his day sentence yesterday. So July 31st was his day he spent in jail. However, with that being said, the team has not come out and said whether or not he will be suspended for games or not. And if he is suspended, the Huskies aren't beating Boise State. Boise State's a very good football team. They're ranked 19th in the country by the coaches. The AP poll came out today. And Austin Sefarian-Jenkins, in my opinion, is the best tight end in the country. However, because he did get a DUI and he was under the age of 21, I believe there should be actions taken. I don't know what those actions should be. He did have to serve a day in jail. He did have to go in court. He said he's publicly embarrassed. So I don't know what the Husky staff is going to do. But I think they probably should suspend him for the first game. However, I don't want that because I know if he's suspended, I don't think Huskies can beat Boise State because Austin Sefarian-Jenkins is an integral part of the Husky offense. So watching what the Huskies will do with him will be extremely interesting because if he's back and he's ready to play like, man, I messed up, I got to go out and prove myself, he's going to be great. He's going to be fantastic. And it will be interesting to see what Coach Sarkisian does. And transitioning into Coach Sarkisian, this is a big year for Coach Sark. This is his 5th year as a coach at Washington, which means that every player on the roster now is a player that either he recruited or a player that chose to go to Washington just on their own accord. That means there's no more excuses for, oh, well, I didn't recruit this guy, that's not my guy. They're all your guys, Coach Sark. You have to step up now, and you have to get this team winning. Because in your 4 years previously as coach, the team is 26-25. That's not getting the job done, especially at a program like Washington, who, while right now they're a mediocre team, in the 90s, they were winning national championships. They were winning Rose Bowls. So I think the Huskies got to get back to that. And I think this year you could see some strides in the winning percentage. Last year they went 7-7 if you include their bowl game. And this year, I think realistically, they can go 9-4. Meaning I think they'll go 8-4 in the regular season and then win their bowl game to finish off 9-4. If they can do that, I'll be happy. I don't expect the Huskies to be a BCS team this year. I don't expect them to be a top 10. However, by the end of the year, I do expect them to be a top 25 team. They have enough talent on this team to be a top 25 team. And if you watch the Huskies at the end of last season, Justin Wilcox, the defensive coordinator, had the defense stepping up. At the beginning of the season, they couldn't stop me. If I was on the field, I'd be like, oh, Stephon, But towards the end of the season, they were playing stout defense. They looked like a team that could competently play defense where at the start of the season, they couldn't defend anybody. People were putting up 50 points on them. They got blown out by LSU. LSU beat them 41-3. And I know LSU's an elite defensive team, but LSU should not ever score 41 points in a game. They're not that good on offense. So with all of this being said, this is probably the single most important year in Washington football since Sarkisian's been there. This is a year where they got to get their winning percentage above. They got to get more than 7 wins. I think they have to get 8 wins for people to say, all right, Sark should still be the coach. Because if he does not get 8 wins, I think there's going to be critics saying, well, this is his 5th year. They had another 500 season. Should we keep the guy? I'm not sure. Boosters might be upset saying, well, we got this guy. We hope for him to win. Should we keep the guy? And also another side story that I think people aren't really paying attention to, and something that I've been paying attention to since Pete Carroll went to the Seahawks, is that I think Sarkisian might be the heir apparent to the Seattle Seahawks coaching job. Because Pete Carroll's 61 years old. He's getting up there in age. I think realistically he only coaches for 6 more seasons. And if you do not know this, Sarkisian was his offensive coordinator at USC. And if Darrell Bevell, the offensive coordinator of the Seahawks now, gets a coaching job after this season, which very likely could happen, just like the Seahawks make a deep run. I'm going to talk about the Seahawks next week in my ranking of the NFL. But if the Seahawks make a deep run, I could see Darrell Bevell leaving to go to a head coaching job. And if that happens, Pete Carroll might ring up Sarkisian and say, hey, Sark, come be my offensive coordinator at the Seahawks. Come be here for 3-4 years, and then I'm going to retire. Coaching job is yours. However, I don't think Sarkisian gets that opportunity unless the team steps up this year, unless the team goes 8-4, and I think they can. I think this Huskies could go 8-4, but people gotta play. People gotta step up. Keith Price has to have the season he had his sophomore year, and not the season he had his junior year. Because honestly, his junior year was terrible. He couldn't hit anybody. He was inconsistent. He got frustrated with himself. We didn't see that Keith Price smile everybody loves to see. And I think a part of that was because he was frustrated because he had so little time behind his offensive line. He couldn't even drop back to throw the ball. So if his offensive line improves, this could be a special year for the Huskies. If the offensive line looks like it did last year, the Huskies might not make a bowl game. It's that simple. I think the defense is going to do great. I think when Austin Sefarian comes back, or if he starts the season off, I think he's going to be strong. I think Casey Williams is going to have a great season. I think Jadon Mickens, like I said, will be the breakout player for the Huskies this season. And honestly, I'm just excited about the Husky football season. It's August 1st now. I cannot wait until August 31st. I've been looking forward to football now for 3 months. After the Super Bowl, I was like, okay, Super Bowl's over. I'm fine with that. I was okay for a couple months. I was okay. I was okay through the NBA season. After the NBA season ended, though, I was like, let me just get one football game. Just one. Just one football game. I can't watch this much baseball. There's too much baseball going on. I just want to watch one football game, please. Just one. Just one. Just one football being thrown on the field. It's too much. I had too little football in my life, and I can't wait for the season to get started. I'm looking forward to a great season by the Huskies. I think it's going to be an exciting season, and I think this is the year for the Huskies to finally show some strides to improve. Now, into the return of the Gold Star and Dunce Awards. This week's Gold Star goes to the University of Oregon. What? A Husky fan giving it to the University of Oregon? Mind you, I cannot stand the Oregon Ducks. I cannot stand them at all. Probably my third least favorite team in all of sports, behind the Washington State Cougars and the San Francisco 49ers. Then it's the Oregon Ducks. Don't like them. Cannot stand them. However, if I was a big-time college football recruit, and I knew I was going to college and I wasn't going to get paid, and I went to the University of Oregon and I saw their facility, I'd be like, okay, I'm done. Sign me up now. I want to go here. Their new facility is unreal. The college players' lockers are ventilated so that they will have no smell, and they have a shelf in their locker to charge their phones. They also have a beautiful game room in there, complete with foosball tables and billiards tables. It's amazing. Their weight room looks amazing. They have a barber shop in the locker room. A barber shop with a barber cutting their hair in the locker room. So while I can't stand Oregon, if I was a college recruit and they said I could go here and get all of this and play football, why wouldn't I go? It's amazing. Alright, now on to the Dunce Award. The University of Florida. Now, you're probably wondering, how does the University of Florida get the Dunce Award if they haven't done anything of note? Here's how. I believe Aaron Hernandez went to the University of Florida, right? I believe the Pouncey twins went to the University of Florida. Oh yeah, and there's that guy Riley Cooper. He went to the University of Florida too. The University of Florida alums are having a terrible summer. Just awful summer. Aaron Hernandez is in a murder case, not only for the murder of Odin Lloyd, but then he's also connected to another double murder. So that's 3 bodies on his hand. And I'm one who believes in the American justice system. You're innocent until proven guilty. However, there's an awful lot of evidence against Hernandez, and his future is looking bleak. Very bleak in the NFL. Then there's the Pouncey twins who, as I just said, there is a lot of evidence against Hernandez to go to jail for a very long time. Yet they still walk around sporting free Hernandez hats, which is, in my opinion, an extremely bad taste. Then to cap it all off, the Florida alums were not done. They were not done yet. Then Riley Cooper had to come out, a white wide receiver in the NFL. For 70% of the NFL players are black, and most of the cornerbacks and free safeties and safeties who he goes against will be black. He goes to a Kenny Chesney concert and says, "I will kill all the N-words out there," referring to all the black people at the concert. And while he apologized, he can apologize all he wants. There will be people upset at him. And when he comes across the middle on team, there will be safeties who hit him extremely hard because they are upset with what he said. So, Florida, you gotta, I don't know what you guys are doing down there, but you guys gotta figure something out. Because you got players coming out of there that's running around crazy. You guys got racists. You guys got people murdering people. It's getting out of line. Alright guys. guys, that's the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'm so glad to be back making videos. I know I was gone for a long time, but I will be back on a regular basis, and thank you so much for watching. This was Austin with the recap.